This is a story about the time I got arrested because I was with my friend when she stole from Kroger. So I was at Kroger looking for snacks with my friend, let's call her Kaylee. Kaylee goes and wanders off somewhere and leaves me in the bread aisle. She didn't tell me where she was going, but about 10 minutes later she came back with a pair of lashes in her hands. She tells me she paid for the lashes up front and to put them in my pocket. I didn't know that she was stealing, so I put them in my pocket. One of the workers saw and called the police. When the police arrive, Kaylee grabs the lashes and tries to make a run for it. So I look after her and I yell, "Justice for 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙧𝙚." Why did I yell that, you may ask? Because this story didn't actually happen. But since you're watching, you might as well finish the video. A somewhat similar situation did happen to a black man named 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙧𝙚 who was executed last night at 9:27 p.m. for a crime he did not commit. He was pressed with 2 murder charges for only being an accomplice to a murder. He didn't murder anyone, yet he still got charged with murder. Now Trump could have stopped all of this, but he didn't have enough time to save a black man from being executed. He was too busy tweeting. And this is one of the many tweets that he made while he could have been preventing the execution. So is the world really killing itself? Or will y'all not just stop killing black people? This is the time I found out my mom was cheating on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. With my ex-boyfriend. And you already know your girl came with the receipt. Let's get into it. So around January last year, me and my boyfriend of 1 year had just broken up. And around that same time, I noticed that my parents' relationship was going down the drain too. I'm an only child. I could see how fake my parents would be around each other. It's honestly like they didn't even try to hide it. So one night I asked to use my mom's phone because I needed to look something up in that very moment and my phone was dead. And obviously I don't just look for what I need. I invade her privacy because if she had free access to my phone, she would have done the same thing. So I'm scrolling through her phone, then I open iMessage. First thing I see is a conversation with my ex-boyfriend. I wasn't surprised that she had his number because I gave it to both of my parents while we were dating just in case of emergencies. So I click on their conversation and this is what I see, child. At the time, I wasn't paying attention to the date. I just assumed that they were old messages from when he would be coming over to see me. But later on, when I caught them together, I threatened to expose him unless he sent me all their messages, which will be posted on my Instagram story. And I found out that those messages were from the day before I caught them together, which happened the next day. Part 2 of the time my mom cheated on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. Receipts included. So like I said, I saw these messages on my mom's phone between her and my ex-boyfriend. Here they are again. I wasn't paying attention to the date, so I thought they were old. Until the next day. So I'm with my friend and I'm in the passenger seat of her car. I open Snapchat and I accidentally click on Snap Maps. I see something weird. It says my ex is at my house. I'm thinking it has to be a glitch because why the fuck is this man at my house? We were somewhat close to my house, so I asked if we could pass my house real fast just to see if he was actually there. We drive past and we see his car in the driveway. And then we see him get out of his car. I'm trying to see what the fuck is up because after those text messages I saw, I don't trust him. I'm on they ass like back pockets. I tell my friend, park behind this big ass tree, girl. We finna watch. So he walks up to the front door. And before he even knocks, before he even rings the doorbell, my mom opens the door, smiling all big and shit. And she opens her arms and hugs him. So she was expecting his arrival. But that was just a little friendly hug, right? You know, nothing too crazy. And they both proceed. This was a team effort to kiss. I pass out. Part 3 gets crazy. Part 3 of the time my mom cheated on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. Receipts included. After I see on Snap Maps that he's at my house, me and my friend drive past my house to see if he was actually there and his car was in the driveway. My mama opens the door for him before he even knocks. Then me and my friend witness them lock lips. At this point my blood is cold. The way I hop out that car faster than you could say homewrecker. So there I am running towards them. Obviously they see me running towards them, eyes wide open, and they start looking at each other. I'm like, hey, don't look at each other, look at me. Look over here. What y'all staring at each other for? So I asked them if I just saw what I just saw. Obviously they try to gaslight me. My friend was there and she saw it, so ain't no fooling me. So I'm screaming at them and I'm going at it. And they're screaming back like they didn't just do what they did. Our neighbor who is a cop hears us arguing and comes outside and tries to defuse the situation. He asks us what's going on. I just tell him that everything's fine and then we go inside. So we go inside and I sit them both down. I'm more curious as to how they even formed this whole entire relationship. So I tell my ex that I won't expose him if he sends me all the messages between him and my mother. Making part 4 right now. Part 4 of the time I found out my mom was cheating on my dad with my ex-boyfriend. So once I caught them, I told my ex-boyfriend that I wouldn't say anything to anyone if he sent me all the messages between him and my mother. There my mom was, still trying to lie about it, still trying to deny it. Like me and my friend did not just see them both trade spit. He ends up agreeing and there my mom is just looking dumb. And she says, if he sends you these messages, you're not allowed to tell your dad. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Obviously, I was still gonna tell my dad. All of those messages are posted on my Instagram story. So I did end up telling my dad and he divorced my mom. Not surprised, it was gonna happen anyways. Their relationship was going down the drain. We both move out and then I stay with my dad until I go to college and get my own dorm. I still talk to my mom every now and then because she was never a bad mom. I never understood and will never understand where this whole thing came from. Just that one incident was traumatizing and uncalled for. Our relationship after that was never the same. It was just always awkward. Last thing I heard about my ex was that he moved to states. This is why boys should cut all connections with their ex when they get a new girl. Please make sure to watch all parts of the story because it all comes together in the end. Let's get into it. Junior year of high school, I started dating this boy whose ex was known to be crazy. She was was so crazy that when me and him first started dating, she told everyone that he had taken advantage of her and got her pregnant so I could break up with him and no other girl would ever want to date him. Nobody believed her because she was a compulsive liar and she lied about serious things like that all of the time. And it was proven completely false when months later, she had no baby bump. I took it upon myself to start talking shit about her on my Instagram, as I should. But once she found out that I was talking shit about her, she wanted to fight. I don't fight over boys, so I told her to get over herself. Fast forward a week or two, I'm sitting in my living room and I hear the doorbell ring. I go to open it, but my mom's already at the door. She opens the door. Next thing you know, I see my mom get snatched. So I'm thinking, damn, it must be windy as hell outside. So I go to check to see what happened. And when I get outside, I see my mama getting whooped by 3 grown men. My boyfriend's ex was standing there and laughing. Part 2 of why boys should cut all connections with their ex when they get a new girl. So like I said, I see my mama getting whooped by 3 grown men. And there my boyfriend's ex is standing there watching the whole thing and laughing. Once the men see me, they stop and I run to make sure that my mom is okay. And they start cussing, saying this, that, and the third. I'm telling all of them to go to hell. I'm trying to rush my mom back inside. There was seriously something wrong with her. Her nose was bleeding. She couldn't answer my questions. She was pretty fucked up. And my boyfriend's ex starts yelling and says, this is what you get for getting me a miscarriage. Now this girl was delusional. I did nothing of the sort. Never put a hand on her. This is the first time I would be seeing her in person. I don't even know how she got my address. I don't bother arguing and I get my mom back inside. I hand her a phone and I tell her to call the police. But I also make sure to tell the dispatcher that we're gonna need an ambulance. So then I go to my garage. I grab a bat, walk right back outside that door, and I go sicko mode. And this is when it gets crazy. Part 3 of why boys should cut all contact with their ex when they get a new girl. Like I said, my boyfriend's ex had brought 3 grown men to my house and they all jumped my mother. So I grab a fucking bat and I go outside. Now I'm swinging on everybody. I'm talking bopping the head, bopping the nose, bopping your mouth. I'm not giving them the chance. I don't even care if the police come in. Let them arrest me. I do manage to get all 3 grown men on the ground. With my bat, of course. Then the only people left standing is me and my boyfriend's ex. I'm like a bull looking at her ready to charge. But now I was ready to molly up that bitch. She starts running, I run right after her. I am on her ass like wet grass. She tries to get in what I'm assuming was her car or one of the grown men's car. I drag her out that car and I start beating her with my bat. The grown men are off the ground at this point and start running towards me. So then they get close. When I tell y'all I start swinging that bat, I don't even know who I'm hitting. I did end up accidentally breaking their windshield. And then the police show up. This is part 4 of why boys should cut all contact with their ex when they get a new girl. So I'm beating up those 3 grown men and my boyfriend's ex with my bat. I accidentally break their windshield and I don't feel bad about it. And that's when the police show up. No one was recording the incident, so when the police got there, those 3 grown men and my boyfriend's ex tried to lie and say that they were the ones who got attacked. But little did they know we had cameras all around our house and it recorded the whole incident. I tell the police I was beating them for self-defense and that my mom was inside and she was already injured. Later on, we were able to file assault and trespassing charges. But anyways, I ride with my mom in the ambulance. Then I go to text my boyfriend to tell him what happened. I forgot to mention earlier on, I had told my boyfriend multiple times to completely block his ex on all social medias. But he didn't, so she would constantly like all of his photos, constantly DM him, and he told me that he would just ignore her. And so I don't just text him what had happened. I also make sure to break up with him. Because if he had blocked her on all socials and cut contact with her, then his ex would have never known that we were dating, and my mom wouldn't be completely paralyzed on the right side of her face. This is why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. Wear a mask while you watch this story time. I promise you're gonna want to. So when I was around 15 years old, I started doing really bad in school. My parents were really poor. My dream was to go to college, so I needed to work my ass off so I could get a scholarship. But with how my grades were looking, it did not seem like I was gonna get one. My school offered after school tutoring classes, so I started taking them. Just in case I didn't get that scholarship, my parents started working late hours so they could pay for my college. They also hired a part-time babysitter / housekeeper. Mind you, my parents worked all day until super late at night. Our job was to arrive after we all left to clean up the messes that we didn't have time to clean up in the morning or the night before. Then she was supposed to pick me up from my tutoring classes, stay at the house and watch me until my bedtime, which was about 9 p.m. Then she was supposed to leave. But one day we were sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast and we all catch a drift of this terrible smell. My dad finds out that the smell is coming from the basement. As soon as he opened the door, the smell just hit you in the face. We all go down there to check where the smell's coming from. We see a pile of human feces. Laying next to it is my babysitter. Part 2 of why you should never let just anybody around your kids. So we go to check out the smell in the basement. And there my babysitter is, laying next to a pile of her own shit. My parents wake her up and everyone's covering their mouth and nose with our shirt. I'll go upstairs because the smell. I let my parents deal with that shit. Literally. I hear my dad yelling at her and telling her to get out. She explains that she used to be a full-time nanny and she has nowhere else to go because they kicked her out. If she was shitting on the floor, who the fuck wouldn't kick her out? She says she did that because she gets really bad anxiety at night and can't go upstairs or we would hear her and wake up. because you have anxiety does not give you the right to shit on the floor. I have anxiety. Do you see me shitting on the floor? So my parents kick her out anyways, like any reasonable person would. And we thought that was the last that we were gonna see of her. But one night at like 2 a.m. in the morning, I hear a tapping on my window. So I wake up and there's my babysitter staring at me through my window. She looks sad and she like motions for me to let her in. I'm looking at her like, the fuck no? And so that sadness quickly turns to anger and she starts banging on my window. Part 3 of why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. Like I said, there my stalker ass babysitter is banging on my window at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so I quickly go to get my parents because what if she breaks that shit and breaks in? Once I leave my room, I hear the banging stop, but I still go to tell my parents what just happened. My dad calls the police and they check around the area and she's nowhere to be found. The smell goes away, we don't see her anymore, so we think everything's good now. But one day my mom texts me and tells me that she left me a tray of cookies on the dining table for when I get back from tutoring. Well, I didn't see any cookies or a tray. When my mom gets home, she wakes me up and asks me where I put the tray. I told her that I didn't even see the tray of cookies. So my mom tries looking for the tray because she needs it for when she cooks. She never finds it. Mind you, my family like never goes to our basement. But one day my dad needs some tools to help fix his buddy's car. He also notices that the tray we were looking for is in the basement. We're all freaked out at this point because our babysitter was secretly living in our house. Now things are going missing and being misplaced. And after looking around for any suspicion that she might have been there again, we notice a broken lock in the window of our basement. Part 4 of why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. So after putting 2 and 2 together and realizing that my babysitter had been sneaking into our house through our basement window, and also noticing that things have been going missing, we call the police and report her because it was just so obviously her. She did not do a good job at all at covering her tracks. When the police look her up, they say she has no criminal record and that she's not enlisted in any housing. So she was homeless. So my parents go ahead and fix the lock on our basement window. I'm guessing once she found out that she couldn't get in anymore, she stopped trying. So afterwards, my parents stopped working as much and I got a friend to start dropping me off at home after my tutoring classes. Once I would get home, I would do all the cleaning just to help my parents out. So then they could keep working their long hours so I could go to college. My parents were kind of iffy about leaving me at home by myself. Child, I could fight. So everything was good and we never saw her again. Quick story time. At the time, me and my friend got jumped in the Walmart parking lot. So me and my friend were steady beefing with these 2 girls that went to our school and they were just like mean girls. Like they were literally the definition of mean girls. They always bothered us just to bother us. Child, I might take this wig off. They were just always picking on us and they were just like really mean. So we were just driving around and we ended up at Walmart. And there are those 2 girls. They were checking out and they saw us too and they stared dead at us. Now me and my friend are not fighters. We usually try to avoid the people that hate us so nothing happens. So we hurry up and try to get out of there before they finish checking out. We got as far as our car and then they walked out of the store. And obviously, because they were mean girls, they yelled our names, came towards us, took the bags that we had, threw the shit we just bought everywhere. Like I said, we don't fight, but we had to defend ourselves. But we're not good at fighting, so we're getting beat up. And one of their friends comes out of their car and joins in. Wigs are being snatched, eyelashes are getting ripped off. It's a mess, honey. Eventually, a Walmart security guard told us that we had to leave, or they were gonna call the cops, and then we got banned from Walmart forever. So